Hey folks, Jim Thomas here, Fitness Management and Consulting, and welcome to the channel today. I appreciate y'all being here. And real quick, if you would, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and also, share the video with clients, friends, associates. If you're in gym sales management, if you oversee staff in the gym operation, share these videos with them. We have at this point nearly 1,000 videos that are how-to in nature to help you better operate and better run your gym. And then also learn more about me and how we can help take your business that next level. Please check out the links below. Now, our topic for you today, it's why are gym business plans important? Why is the business plan important? And normally new operations, or you acquire a new facility, you're going to need that business plan to obtain financing. You're going to need it, to get a lease. But most importantly, that gym business plan is going to be your roadmap. It's going to be your blueprint, to how you want to do things. And there's a couple things that I see kind of in a general sense. As many folks, they kind of rush into it and give little real deep thought to the business plan, just enough to get financing or just enough to get a lease or things of that nature. They don't really give it that true thought many times. And if they do, then they file it away, as soon as that initial stage is done. And then the second thing, when I think about business plans, for gym owners, is when you're thinking about, hey, what are you doing every day? What you're doing every day is you're working on the key objectives of that business plan. So this business plan, it's a working, breathing, living document from where I sit that we're constantly using to grow and develop our business. So I want to talk about a few things here of why we think business plans are important and give you some insight on it. And so number one, on why is a business plan important, it provides insight as to what resources are needed to reach these goals. So you write your business plan really to get insight as to what kind of resources are needed. And your resources can, money, certainly. And when you're looking at this, what's your ramp up, to profitability? In a general sense, we like to see you have at least 1 month operating expenses on hand. So if it costs you, $50,000 a month to run your business, we'd like to see that much, in the bank on a regular basis. And you might even consider 2 or 3 months, worth of resources in the bank. What other resources are going to be needed? Staffing and personnel. How are we going to pull that off? It's not as easy to just, place an ad, hire somebody, okay? How are we going to do this? How are we going to make sure we hire the right ones? How are we going to get them trained? Okay, but what other resources? Resources for funding, resources for leasing, equipment. But this business plan is going to provide insight into all of this. What resources are going to be needed, to reach these goals. Number two, the business plan is going to provide and establish a clear timeline of when the company can expect to achieve their goals. You want a clear timeline on when the company can expect to achieve their goals. Now, when you do these business plans, I know when we help clients do them, we do them on a collaborative basis, because not only do we want the business plan, but we want what I would call that high level of education on this, because there's a tendency sometimes to really overshoot this when it comes to expectations, more often than not on revenue. The expense side, usually we can get that pretty close. But it's where we make the mistake is on the revenue. So, the idea behind the business plan is to establish clear timelines on when a company can expect to achieve, certain goals. And, the big thing that I would comment on here is when you're doing these things, if we're using a business plan like this, is, you can have the entrepreneur side of it, certainly, but have the banker side of it where it's a little more conservative, and then kind of bring the two in together. But we want to have a good understanding of when we can reach these goals, because when you start working on this, you're working on your key objectives. And one of the things that we talk a lot about is we never really want to lower the goals. We want to raise our action level to be able to hit them. So you think about that when you're kind of in pursuit. But your business plan is going to give you clear timelines on when the company is going to reach those goals. Number three, the business plan is going to help your company determine the steps it needs to take to enter into new markets. To enter into new markets. And what can new markets be? Maybe you get into retail. Maybe you get into online programming. They can actually buy a membership online and they have access to all of that. Maybe it's online personal training. Okay, so what are the steps that's going to be necessary to get into these new markets? Okay, that's one of the things that you want your business plan to do, because in the end, with your business plan, your company, it needs to be growing. And that's how you're going to satisfy investors. It's how you're going to satisfy staff. And I tell folks all the time is if you're not growing it, you need to be looking at selling it. Okay, so we want to be able to determine what are the next steps to get involved and expand into new markets. Number 4, your business plan is going to offer a clear path, a clear track. On progress as the company grows. Okay, how are you going to track this? How are you going to track your progress? And the thing that I would look at here on your business plan what's a clear way to track this is, what are the key performance indicators? What is your cost per sale, your lead acquisition cost? What's your closing percentage? What's your percentage of rent to revenues? What's your percent of payroll to revenues? What's your percent of recurring fees to the cost to run your business? And so, what are these numbers? And making sure we understand that, because if we don't understand those numbers, that's a path you really don't want to go down. Okay, so your business plan is going to offer a clear path on this. Okay, and then number 5, it's going to help. It's going to enable gym owners to really predict and plan for potential risk. Okay, and to me, this is one of the bigger things for your business plan is, what are the risks associated with this? I talk to so many folks when we talk about their business plans that they've already done it, and maybe we're going to review it, things like that. And what are the risks? Well, Jim, there really are no risks. We've done this and we've done this and we've done this. And the thing is, this business plan should not only outline the risk, but then how are you going to mitigate those risks? What's the strategy going to be? Because there's no investor. If you tell that investor there's no risk, really what you're telling them is there's no upside, because they go hand in hand. If you're going to have upside, there's got to be risk. Probably the greater the risk, the greater the upside. You have to manage that. You have to make those decisions. And so we want to be able to predict what the risks are, and then how do we plan for it? What's our strategy? In our plan of action, we call it roadblocks and setbacks, right? And then how are we going to mitigate that? Okay. And then number 6, your business plan is going to allow investors to really see the viability of the company. Is this thing really viable? Is someone going to do this? And one of the things we kind of talk about the viability of the company, and a lot of these finance deals that we do, we're raising money in different things, particularly on brand new projects, a lot of lenders, a lot of investors, they want to see what they refer to as offtake agreements. Show us that you have contracts in place. Okay, show us that there's enough interest here. This is pre-sales, right? Show us you have enough interest in this, and hey, we'll invest. And we've had folks that have gone out and spoken to large groups of people, okay, and got them to sign up and said, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're going to benefit the community. Because really you have to look at this, say, hey, how are we going to solve problems? How are we going to benefit the community? Why would someone want to join? And if you can get this viability and show this, now all of a sudden these investors are going to be on board. I mean, we had a guy one time, he was looking to do something that was really unique. It was a standard gym, but then it had a nonprofit component to it. And based on how that nonprofit was going to generate revenue, that money was going to be utilized to buy memberships for kids and underprivileged families in the community. Okay, and it resonated really well, with the area, and hundreds and hundreds of people, signed up. Okay, prior to anything happening. Now the advantage is there's no money down and no money until it opens, assuming it does. Okay. And so it works. So you can take that with your business plan. This really allows your investors really to see the viability. Here's what you're talking about, and here's what customers are actually doing. So, take a look at some of this. If you have a business plan right now, review some of this. Are these things that are being addressed? Okay, are you working on these things every day? If you don't have a business plan, get one. Okay, and so folks, my name is Jim Thomas. My company is Fitness Management and Consulting. Again, you can learn more about me with the links below, and we look forward to seeing you all in that next video.